Thanks for joining us, Emily and Jannine. The idea of this was to do a podcast of what life is like around the world during this crazy time, to capture what it's like at various parts of the world. And I mean, this is going to be quite unique in that both of you are pretty much at opposite sides of the world. So we've got Emily in New York, and Jannine in Thailand. What part of Thailand are you in?
I am in Bangkok in Thailand. The background is my neighborhood.
It looks amazing.
So Bangkok has a lot of big streets. They usually have a lot of traffic, and then they have those little streets. I can still hear the traffic from even here because there's so much traffic going on all the time, usually. But in this time, there's not as much as usual. The streets are really, because of the virus, the streets are really quite empty. It's not normal. Even if when you open Google Maps, it says there's more traffic than usual, and now it's like there's less traffic than usual. This is quite unique. I think I've never seen that in Bangkok before. So yeah.
I suppose Bangkok is renowned for being a really busy city, and you kind of see it in the phones being depicted with really congested streets and everything like that. So you're seeing the opposite, basically.
Yes. So that's kind of, I think, something, as I was saying, really unique. Right now we have something like a curfew, so people are not allowed to go out in the evening between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. But still during the day, the people are still not really, there are not many people on the streets. As far, I actually just go out twice a day to buy some food, and that's it. So everything that I can see is the streets. There are still people, but not as busy as usual. And Bangkok has a huge population. So many people always rocking around or being somewhere, and right now it's not like that. So that's really special.
And Emily, similarly busy city, New York. How are things there?
Well, I don't live in Manhattan. I've seen images of just the barren streets, which is, very post-apocalyptic, for lack of a better term. Like you don't see it. But in my neighborhood in Astoria, it's interesting. You kind of saw the progression of people's awareness. So, when this thing first started, you'd see a couple masks on the street. Now you see a couple people without them. For the most part, my neighborhood, you still see a lot of people out and about. They try to, as much as they can, keep their distance from each other, but it's not like my neighborhood has grinded to a halt. There's always a line, at least a block, or if not more, to the grocery store. So people are queuing up outside the door just to grab groceries. Same thing at some of the banks. There's just lines out the door because they're only letting a select few people in at any one time. Yeah,
that's a real post-apocalyptic kind of image, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we see it here as well. I mean, it's really straight out of a movie. I mean, people queuing for food is something, our generation have never seen, really.
Yeah, it's beyond weird. And I've just taken upon myself to take really long walks just to kind of break up my day. So I will walk from where I am in Astoria to the water's edge in Long Island City, just to kind of see, what people are doing, respectively distanced, of course. And it goes from being just a very, very normal to a snap to awareness, very quickly. Just depending on where you are. It's really, really weird that people just are either super overly cautious, which is great, or it's like business as usual. So it just to see people's reaction to this has been really interesting.
Yeah. It's a whole study in human interaction and psychology as well. How people, just the level of fear out there is kind of, I don't know, maybe it's a bit too high. I don't know. I mean, certainly sometimes it seems it's too high. But Jannine, how about in Bangkok? How do you find it? Are people, I mean, certainly here, it's the only topic nearly that people talk about. Yeah. Same with yourself.
Any conversation, cell phone, people talk. Yeah, that's all that people, I mean, there's nothing to do. So
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So to discuss, the topic at large is kind of the only rational thing.
Yeah. Same in Bangkok, Jane? Oh, you frozen?
Yeah, so, okay, one thing about the mask. I'm frozen.
No, you're fine now. You're on again. Yeah, I mean,
so
we don't hear as much. I mean, obviously China was very much in the focus, but I haven't heard anything from Thailand up to now.
Yeah, that Thailand was, I would say, my internet connection is unstable. Yeah, Thailand was doing quite well, not really compared or Japan, where it was going crazy. Over here, people, this is kind of a country where the virus was not really going so crazy. I think it's because it's quite hot. It's still up to 36, 37 degrees.
Yeah.
It's the reason why the virus is not really affecting so much then. We don't have as many cases as in other countries. Wherever we're still doing quite well. So people, of course, we talk about it. It's a topic. Everyone is wearing a mask. People a mask before because in Bangkok, the air pollution is bad. So people are wearing masks already, but like everyone is wearing a mask. Maybe just.
Yeah. Yeah, you're freezing there a bit, Jannine. You're okay, but you're frozen there. Emily, just get back to you. So creative, are you able to still, I mean, I should say Emily is an award-winning filmmaker and actor. So just the story is, and it's a lovely one. Emily went to buy a wedding dress in London with her friend to visit Europe, and then ended up 2 days later winning an award for a film in Ireland. And that's how we bumped into each other. So
yeah, the best falling out that I've ever had with someone in terms of an outcome.
You got an award out of it.
Oh, one thing I also forgot to mention is just the sirens, the ambulance sirens are constant.
Really?
Like every 3 minutes, you just hear another siren, another siren, another siren. So it's just, there's even like a constant auditory reminder of like what's going on out there. But in terms of staying creative, for me personally, I understand that this is so horrible for so many people in so many ways. But like me personally, I'm working from home. I was able to retain some of my personal training clients. I lost a couple of my side jobs. What was like social media management, and I was working as a barista as well. So I'm not doing that anymore. But in terms of having like a little bit of an income flow, I do have that just by training clients. And then I have this extra free time at home. So I'm working on projects that I just never got around to. I'm trying to shoot a short film, wink, wink. I'm trying to write some music, collaborate with some artists all over the world. I'm working on a couple songs with a guy in Spain. So yeah, in terms of creativity, this has really given me the opportunity and the motivation to get some stuff done that I've been wanting to do forever. So in that, for me, in that aspect, it's been kind of a boon.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, it's that's a good thing. I mean, everybody's going to have to adapt, and businesses have to adapt to new ways of doing things that they never would have thought of before. And I mean, yourself now, it's fantastic. You're able to do you're a fitness instructor, and you're able to do that online, yeah?
Yeah, I use Zoom. They set up their camera so I can see them, and then, you know, with whatever equipment they have, we just work with. Like I've been having people weight lift with like their backpack full of books.
Yes, I saw that on Instagram. Actually, plug your Instagram channel. What is it?
Oh, I'm putting out free exercises for people. It's the Instagram is Body by Battles, and I also have it on Facebook. Yeah. So whatever you have, you don't need fancy equipment. Just keep moving, because you know, exercise actually bolsters your immune system too. So it just couldn't hurt.
Oh, absolutely, and it keeps you sane during a particular time, you know, which is absolutely vital. Yes, I saw those ones where you do the bag full of books and stuff. It's very innovative. It's brilliant.
And also, I've seen more friends seen more friends this past 2 weeks than I can't even imagine in some instances, just through play readings and Zoom hangouts. Like, people are really finding ways to communicate and keep each other close, which is really rare and awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Jannine,
yes,
are you still writing scripts?
Yes. Yes, I do. It's actually getting more intense right now because first of all, there's more time, and second of all, I'm trying to set up a little business from it. So I read scripts, I write scripts, and it's interesting. interesting time right now. It's not really, I always spend a lot of time in front of my laptop anyway. So right now it's just kind of, I'm just spending more time at home in front of my laptop, so to speak. So it's, I'm not having that much trouble with the situation for me personally in terms of how I design my day. It's just meeting less people, not going out, not meeting so many people, but in terms of what I'm doing, it haven't changed much. It's actually getting even more intense, which I quite enjoy too.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, the world was of business and creativity is moving online anyway, and this has really given a big step change to it, you know. So Jannine, I should say you had a great run with the film Chimes. And yeah, I think the last time we met, actually, I was interviewing you about that film on Sandybound Strand, a lovely sunny day, and and that film had a great run.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. I remember that really well. It was a nice interview. My mother is still watching it when I'm not in Germany. Then she's watching it on YouTube to have a little memory on her daughter.
Oh, that's nice.
So I remember that. And yes, Chimes was my first film, and I hope there are going to be more to come. So I'm happy that it got quite into many festivals, and I was able to show it to a few people. So that's a good thing. When people see your film, I think the greatest thing is when you have something in mind and then you make it a reality and people see it and talk about it. I think that's one of the greatest things that you can do as an artist, to leave something and have people talking about it and just be able to create. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And do you have another film in the pipeline now?
I made one other short film. It's called The Knock. It's finished, but I haven't sent it. I think I'm not going to go with it into the festival run. I might post it quite soon so people can see it online. The thing about that is it's quite, I would say, I would rather call it a project. I would rather call it kind of an art house project maybe, because it's really metaphorical. And I was paying a lot of attention on the visuals and on the visual experience. And I was lucky to get a great DOP that I'm always working with here, who was shooting for me, and we were able to share our ideas. And so people most of the people who see the film are not going to understand it in the first place. So that's why I have to be sure how I'm going to present it to the audience. It's going to have a different meaning for everyone who's going to watch it, for sure. To some people it have no meaning maybe, but to me it has a meaning, and then I think that's the most important thing. So I have to see what I'm going to do with this film now. And then there are some other things planned. I'm not too sure yet, so I don't want to talk about it for sure right now, but I think you're going to hear about it soon. I hope so.
Good. I hope so. Yeah, I can see there's a lot of buildings in the background there. It's a lovely image. Are you in the city center of Bangkok there?
Yes. Kind of. Yeah, I'm kind of. Bangkok is a big city.
Yeah.
Even if you travel, you everything. It's not like Ireland. It's not like in Dublin, where you can basically walk through the whole city center in like 20 or 30 minutes. It's quite big, but I'm kind of in a part where things happen, or I don't need much time to travel to the place. So yes.
Yeah, and so you were saying there's a curfew by night. I mean, during the day, are people getting out?
The thing is, I'm quite staying at home, so I don't see that much of what's going on beside me. But whenever I go out to buy food, still people are outside, but not many people. It's definitely less. Definitely you can really see a change. And the restaurants, like eating and food is a big thing in Thailand and in Bangkok. People are always eating. There's so much street food, so many restaurants, and also the restaurants, they close, so they do takeaway, so you can take your food but you cannot sit there anymore. So that's something that's quite challenging, I think, for the city. So people still go to the restaurant, take their food, and then they go. That's what I do also sometimes, and that's it.
Yeah. And Emily, I presume it's something similar in New York, is it? I mean, you just wonder, will Well, many restaurants, I mean, thousands of restaurants in New York presumably have had to close, tens of thousands probably. And you just wonder, will any of them manage to reopen after this?
Well, that's what I'm just kind of wondering, especially in my area. Are we going to become just kind of like a ghost town of empty storefronts?
That's the risk.
Yeah. I mean, there was always sort of a danger of that anyway, just because there's a weird kind of like insurance incentive right now where people are leaving storefronts vacant rather than trying to find a tenant. So there was just a lot of just places that are not open anyway. And I think in the light of this, it's going to just get so much worse. So yeah, I feel there was actually a business that had just done a soft opening like 3 days before the restaurants were shut down, and then that happened. Now there's paper in the windows and such. So it's really, really sad. So many small businesses and so many factions, not just the restaurant industry, are suffering.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just the longer this goes on, the more impossible it's going to be for small businesses to recover. You know, once life's changing so radically, it's just, you just wonder, are there going to be permanent scars from this? You know, certainly
undoubtedly.
Yeah. And what restrictions do you have in New York, Emily, at where you are? I mean, is it have they introduced laws? Have they restricted people? Is there curfew, that kind of stuff?
Cuomo is doing a really good job in terms of just being really upfront and vocal with us. He gives, I think it's at 11:30, there's like a daily address. Bars are mandated to close. Restaurants are only doing takeaway. Basically, they've defined in kind of a loose term a non-essential business, and any non-essential business was required to close. There's some liberties taken with that, obviously. The pet store is still open, which is hysterical to me.
Well, I suppose the dogs have got to eat as well.
Yeah, there's that. But there's no like curfew or, you can go out whenever. It's just everyone's just trying to practice social distancing as much as they can. But one thing that I noticed is, when this thing was first starting, I knew some friends that have gotten sick. I know some friends have recovered, but now I'm starting to hear of like people passing. In fact,
oh, really?
I was going through Instagram right before I came on here, and I found out my friend's mom died from this just last night, and just like 2 weeks of a steady decline. So while it's not affecting, thank God, it's not affecting me like really, really personally yet. It's just creeping closer, which is scary.
Yeah, that is sad. And it's sad the way actually New York is becoming a bit of an epicenter of it now, I hear anyway. Is that true?
Well, we don't have the luxury of like a big city like LA that's so sprawling. I mean, New York is built on top of itself. So interaction is inevitable. So it's just so hard to contain something in a place that's so densely populated.
Yeah, that's the problem. And so are you still managing to do your podcast? You had an audio show?
Yeah, it's funny. We're actually doing, what is today? Wednesday. Tonight.
Yes.
Tonight, if you wanted to tune in, we are rebroadcasting the first seasons of Windfall podcast. Basically, we as a cast are getting together to listen to it, and then we are taking like a Q&A afterwards. But yeah, we ironically did a post-apocalyptical kind of like space-inspired podcast called Windfall.
So you predicted the whole lot.
Yes, so we
like
knew this was coming. We just did nothing. No, but in terms of season 2, the plan was to record that this summer, and that's inevitably put on hiatus. We're trying to figure out a way where we can get the audio consistent enough where everyone can kind of record their own parts. But it's right now logistically it's kind of hard to manage. Yeah,
that would be all right. Yeah. And I suppose, like, is there a way out of this? Like, as in New York, I know the governor, is he a Democratic governor, Cuomo?
Yes.
Yeah. He's having a few rounds there with Trump over the whole thing, I see, every now and again.
Well, I think he's openly called him stupid, and just amongst friends he is. So let's call it out like it is. But yeah, it's been really satisfying for me to see like a leader emerge in all of this, at least for the local people. you know, now where everyone's wishing that Cuomo would run. You know, my mom has a crush on Cuomo, and she's in Virginia. So it's like he's sort of become a man for the people, which is what we need at this time. We need a leader.
It's actually a bit similar to 9/11. Who was the governor then?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Was it Bloomberg or?
No, it was oh shit.
Oh yeah, jeez.
I should know that.
Giuliani, Rudy Giuliani, was it? Yeah.
Yes. Jeez.
And he became really popular. He became sort of a local hero after 9/11.
Sure, and actually, there's a lot of parallels being drawn here in terms of people kind of not physically drawing together, but like banding together as a New Yorker. And one thing that's awesome that's happening, not in my neighborhood, but all over the city. There's a shift change generally at the hospital at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And people are hanging out their windows, their balcony, and just cheering for 10 minutes every day at 7 o'clock for the hospital workers, the essential workers. And it's magical to hear. It will bring tears to your eyes.
Yeah, that sounds emotional.
Oh my God, it's beautiful. It's such a cool sentiment.
Jannine,
it's like a movie scene. You can definitely put that like into
anything similar in Bangkok like that?
I haven't experienced it, to be honest. I haven't heard about it here. Maybe it exists, but I haven't heard about it here.
Yeah, people singing from those balconies or anything like that. Because you see very emotional scenes from Italy, you know, where people are in their apartments and coming out singing "Time to Say Goodbye" in the balconies and things like that. You know.
Yeah, I think because in Thailand it's just maybe it's not as bad as in like Italy or Germany or elsewhere. So that's why that's why maybe we don't experience it here, or I don't do it. So
yeah, you were saying there hasn't been that many cases. Is there a reason for that, do you know, or
I think maybe it's also kind of a reporting problem. There might be more cases, but they're just not reported, so we just don't know about it. But I have a bit of the feeling that it is because it's a hot country, and then hot countries are not that affected from it as colder countries. I presume it's like that. But as I'm not a scientist, I cannot really tell why. It's just, even in the past, Thailand always handled those pandemics, like those situations, quite well, actually. So they have other problems, but this is not one of the major issues, usually.
And are people happy with the way the government and the leaders have handled it?
Well, not all of them, of course. I mean, there are quite a few things where people are unhappy with and blaming the government for, of course, for like little things. You know, like the government is something I just heard is the government was paying 5,000 baht, which is not that much. It's around certain, I think, taxi drivers and some other group of people here, because government announces it, and by announcing it, it's causing kind of it can cause that people are fighting each other. So it's like those things people don't like, but
true. Yeah, I mean, that would be the worst part of it, if the people are divided over it. I mean, the more unity, the better, especially if combating. It's interesting what you say about the temperature. I mean, that would give some hope and it's yet unknown if the virus is affected by temperature, because certainly the common viruses that we've had up to now, they happen during the winter and then they go away as the temperature increases. So that's one hope, I suppose, that we have, that as summer comes, that it might affect.
Yeah, I heard it in a few articles and a few resources were saying that it's because of the heat, but also some say that it's not true. So I think we cannot really be sure about it, but I have the feeling it has something to do with it. It's my feeling. And viruses often happen, as you were saying, like in the cold periods. So I do believe it's affecting it a bit. And Thailand is even getting into, it's always hot, but right now we're getting into the even hotter period. Like
what
Thailand
temperature is it roughly?
Right now it's evening right now, so I think, let me check it. It says 34 degrees right now.
Yeah, it's actually a lovely day here in Ireland, would you believe? We actually have sunshine, which is, as you both know, is pretty rare. And what's it like over there, Emily, at the moment? Do you have good weather?
Yesterday was beautiful. We are facing a couple of days of rain on the horizon, so it's kind of like, it's great. It's interesting. We've had kind of like kind of a dull gray past couple of weeks, so it sort of matched everyone's ennui, like their mood.
Yeah.
But
well, they call it pathetic fallacy or something.
Yeah, exactly. But then we've had some like a couple beautiful days where the temperature is starting to heat up, and you just have the most blue sky ever. I mean, in terms of emissions, I'm not sure what's happening, but I've never seen like beautiful blue skies here, and all the cherry blossoms and dogwoods are blooming on the streets, and there's just like this weird visual disconnect of like such a beautiful, quiet, peaceful city and just like the turmoil that's raging. You know, it's really, the dichotomy is really, really interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, it is kind of interesting for artists. I mean, the art that's going to come out of this, describing it over the next couple of years, I mean, I'm sure it'll be all dominated by films and books and everything will be dominated, but, you know, yeah. But look, I'm sure the rain will get you nostalgic for Ireland anyway, Emily.
Oh, exactly. No, actually, someone made that comment the other day. It's like, if I feel like I'm living in the UK. I was like, oh, I know what that means.
Yeah. Very good. Well, look, it's been fascinating. That's been a really fascinating chat, just to hear from you both. I mean, you know, one of you is in one side of the world, one is in the other. And any other kind of thoughts about this? I mean, it's the craziest. It's certainly the craziest period I've certainly lived through. I mean, I'm sure it must be the same for both of you. But yeah, so just parting thoughts, like stuff you're working on, stuff you want to plug, stuff that's coming up for both of you. Jannine?
Right, so I'm kind of, okay, I have two things to say. So I can say something about what I'm doing right now. I'm really lucky that I found two really good friends here that I'm in the middle of setting a company up with. We're kind of planning it, so I hope that everybody watching it is going to stay updated with what we are doing.
Interesting, yeah.
So yeah, it's quite exciting times, really challenging and maybe even risky, but I feel it's the right time right now. The other thing I would say regarding this crisis, I have the feeling that the world is kind of taking back what they need. And I hope that people are going to see it as a chance to change a bit for the better, to take the requirements of the earth and the environment a bit more serious. I find it important to reduce meat consumption, not just because of the animals, but also because it's causing a lot of environmental damage, climate damage. And I believe that this is kind of the time where we should maybe start to rethink all our behaviors and try to choose peace and freedom in everything we're doing. And it's small things that we can make ourselves and even the world better. And it's starting with all of us every day. It's by choosing what we're going to eat, how often we turn on the light or whatever. And I hope that people are going to get a bit more aware of this, because the world is clearly taking something back. And we should have done it earlier, but I see this as a chance, and I hope that we're going to take the chance.
You know, it's a great point, actually. Yeah, it's lovely that you mentioned it. And it's kind of following on from what Emily said there about emissions going down and beautiful blue skies. That is certainly a positive thing. And I'm seeing it. I went for a walk here in Dublin and I saw the water, and normally there's an oil streak over it and it was just as clear as day. You know, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And people are seeing it everywhere. And it's a good point, Jannine and Emily, that we are seeing nature kind of take back things due to lack of less emissions. And actually, Jannine, I'd forgotten, that you're a vegan, is it, or vegetarian? Vegan?
Yeah.
Are you vegetarian or vegan?
Right.
You're vegan, yes. Yeah.
I'm a vegetarian too, so I'm sold. I'm sold.
Yes, I'm 90% there. I mean, my daughter's a vegetarian and I'm being converted very gradually. I'm making it. I will make it. But it is a very good point, that we do need to, it is a point to address, the environmental kind of damage that we're doing and how we need to adjust to that. It's certainly a moment for that, all right?
Yeah, I think I can see it's so obvious what the world is, what the world is kind of trying to do with us, because I believe that climate change, or the way we cause emissions and stuff, was really bad thing, and we destroyed the world with it. We're already doing it, but we don't pay attention to it because it doesn't affect us directly. and a virus is going to affect us directly. So this is kind of the only way to save something here, I guess. And to me, it's really obvious what if there's some kind of higher energies, what they're trying to do. So I hope that we're going to see it as a chance, as I was already saying. And yeah, just think about, we have enough time right now to think about everything we're doing, and we should take it serious.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, as we were kind of saying earlier, everything is going to change from this. And, you know, there's going to be very few businesses or anything that will be able to come back the same way that it was. So I suppose, yeah, as you say, it's a chance for us to think about how to redesign how we do everything, really. And yeah, it's a good point, Jannine. Yeah, it's a nice one to finish up on. Anything else? Any final thoughts there, Emily? Yeah, it was nice.
I think this is a time for people to kind of figure out what their priorities are, and I hope socially too. I think you made this point, Jannine, that we're kinder to each other. That we use this time to like band together, and as an artist, you know, find our community, create beauty, and hopefully also, I mean, what are you doing in this time? You're watching movies, you're reading. Like, this is a time where people are really consuming art, and I hope it sheds a light on we are essential. You know what I mean? Escapism and beauty and, you know, just a distraction or like a way of thinking differently, I think is really what the world needs right now. And artists are essential to that. So hopefully people realize that and fund us.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it was wonderful to spend a half an hour talking to two great artists, lovely friends and great artists, of great actors, great writers, and everything. You're both very talented people, and it's lovely to see you and hear from you again. And
likewise. Thank you for this opportunity. This has been so cool.
Oh yeah. Well, look, you know, I intend to continue. So look, I mean, you know, I'll try and mix it around and get people from all over. But if we'll have you back on again, maybe in a few days or whenever you like.
Sure, if you want.
And you need to get filming.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Do you like the idea? Thanks, Jannine. Yeah. Yeah.
And thank you for having us. And I think you're going to create some kind of history with this because this is definitely a period.
That's the idea, because I think in years to come, people will wonder what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how did somebody in New York live? Yeah. How did they walk around? Just as you're describing, Emily, how did somebody in Bangkok, how did they notice a tumultuous city go to something that was almost abandoned? I mean, there's something just so incredibly unique about that, and it's terrifying, and it's also, there's something just, it's important to record it, you know.
Yeah.
So what I plan to do is a series of these things, and to I'm certainly, I'd love to have you back maybe in a few days to report how you're getting on.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, look, I'll let you go. Great to see you.
Thank you so much.
To see you. Thank you for
everyone. Stay safe.
Yes.
Stay sane.
Bye.
Stay safe. Have a great evening.
Same to you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.